Hi guys! So now we're on to chapters 9 and 10 of Tender's the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So, chapter 9. They were waiting for him and incomplete without him. He was still the incalculable Eleanor. Miss Warren and the young Italian wore their anticipation as obviously as Nicole. The salon of the hotel, a room of fabled acoustics, was stripped for dancing, but there was a small gallery of English women of a certain age, with neckbands, dyed hair, and faces powdered pinkish gray, and of American women of a certain age, with snowy white transformation, black dresses, and lips of cherry red. Miss Warren and Marmora were at a corner table. Nicole was diagonally across from them, 40 yards away, and as Dick arrived, he heard her voice. "Can you hear me? I'm speaking naturally." "Perfectly. Hello, Dr. Diver. What's this? You realize the people in the center of the floor can't hear what I say, but you can?" "A waiter told us about it," said Miss Warren. "Corner to corner. It's like wireless." It was exciting up on the mountain, like a ship at sea. Presently, Marmora's parents joined them. They treated the Warrens with respect. Dick gathered that their fortunes had something to do with a bank in Milan that had something to do with the Warren fortunes. But baby Warren wanted to talk to Dick, wanted to talk to him with the impetus that sent her out vagrantly toward all new men, as though she were on an inelastic tether, and considered that she might as well get to the end of it as soon as possible. She crossed and recrossed her knees frequently in the manner of tall, restless virgins. "Nicole told me that you took care of her, and had a lot to do with her getting well. What I can understand is what we're supposed to do." They were so indefinite at the sanitarium. They only told me she ought to be natural and gay. I knew the Marmoras were up here, so I asked Tino to meet us at the funicular. And you see what happens. The very first thing, Nicole has him crawling all over the sides of the car as if they were both insane. "That was absolutely normal," Dick laughed. "I'd call it a good sign. They were showing off for each other." "But how can I tell? Before I knew it, almost in front of my eyes, she had her hair cut off in Zurich because of a picture in Vanity Fair." "That's all right. She's a schizoid, a permanent eccentric. You can't change that." "What is it?" "Just what I said, an eccentric." "Well, how can anyone tell what's eccentric and what's crazy?" "Nothing is going to be crazy. Nicole is all fresh and happy. You needn't be afraid." Baby shifted her knees about. She was a compendium of all the discontented women who had loved Byron 100 years before. Yet in spite of the tragic affair with the guards officers, there was something wooden and artistic about her. "I don't mind the responsibility," she declared, "but I'm in the air. We've never had anything like this in the family before. We know Nicole had some shock, and my opinion is it was about a boy, but we don't really know. Father says he would have shot him if he could have ever found out." The orchestra was playing "Poor Butterfly." Young Marmora was dancing with his mother. It was a tune new enough to them all. Listening and watching Nicole's shoulders as she chattered to the elder Marmora, whose hair was dashed with white like a piano keyboard, Dick thought of the shoulders of a violin, and then he thought of the dishonor, the secret. Oh, Butterfly, the moments pass into hours. "Actually, I have a plan," Baby continued with apologetic hardness. "It may seem absolutely impractical to you, but they say Nicole will need to be looked after for a few years. I don't know whether you know Chicago or not." "I don't." "Well, there's a north side and a south side, and they're very much separated. The north side is chic and all that, and we've always lived there, at least for many years, but lots of old families, old Chicago families, if you know what I mean, still live on the south side. The university is there. I mean, it's stuffy to some people, but anyhow, it's different from the north side. I don't know whether you understand." He nodded. With some concentration, he had been able to follow her. "Now, of course, we have lots of connections there. Father controls certain chairs and fellowships and so forth at the university. And I thought if we took Nicole home and threw her with that crowd, you see she's quite musical and speaks all these languages. What could be better in her condition than if she fell in love with some good doctor?" A burst of hilarity surged up in Dick, The Warrens were going to buy Nicole a doctor. You got a nice doctor you can't let us use? There was no use worrying about Nicole when they were in the position of being able to buy her a nice young doctor. The paint scarcity drew on him. But how about the doctor? He said automatically. There must be many who jump at the chance. The dancers were back. The baby whispered quickly. This is the sort of thing I mean. Now where is Nicole? She's gone off somewhere. Is she upstairs in her room? What am I supposed to do? I never know whether it's something innocent or whether I ought to go find her. Perhaps she just wants to be by herself. People living alone get used to loneliness. Seeing that Miss Morgan was not listening, he stopped. I'll take a look around. For a moment, all the outdoors shut in with mist was like spring with curtains drawn. Life was gathered near the hotel. Dick passed some cellar windows where busboys sat on bunks and played cards over a litter of Spanish wine. As he approached the promenade, the stars began to come through the white crest of the high Alps. On the horseshoe walk overlooking the lake, Nicole was the figure motionless between two lampstands, and he was approached silently across the grass. She turned to him with an expression of, "Here you are," and for a moment he was sorry he had come. Your sister wondered. Oh, she was accustomed to being watched. With an effort she explained herself. Sometimes it gets a little much. I've lived so quietly. Tonight the music was too much. It made me want to cry. I understand. This has been an awfully exciting day. I know. I don't want to do anything antisocial. I've caused everybody enough trouble. But tonight I wanted to get away. It occurred to Dick suddenly, as it might occur to a dying man that he had forgotten to tell where his will was, that Nicole had been re-educated by Dulmer and the ghostly generations behind him. It occurred to him also that there would be so much she would have to be told. But having recorded this wisdom within himself, he yielded to the insistent face value of the situation and said, "You're a nice person. Just keep using your own judgment about yourself." "You like me?" "Of course." "Would you—" They were strolling along toward the dim ends of the horseshoe, 200 yards ahead. "If I hadn't been sick, would I have been the sort of girl you might, you know what I mean." He was in for it now, possessed by a vast irrationality. She was so near that he felt his breathing change, but again his training came to his aid in a boy's laugh and a trite remark. "You're teasing yourself, my dear. Once I knew a man who fell in love with his nurse." The anecdote rambled on, punctuated by their footsteps. Suddenly, Nicole interrupted his succinct chicose. "Bull. That's a very vulgar expression." "What about it?" She flared up. "You don't think I've got any common sense? Before I was sick I didn't have any, but I have now. And if I don't know you're the most attractive man I ever met, you must think I'm still crazy. It's my hard luck, all right, but don't pretend I don't know. I know everything about you and me." Dick was in an additional disadvantage. He remembered the statement of the elder Miss Warren as to the young doctors that could be purchased in the intellectual stockyards of the south side of Chicago, and he hardened for a moment. "You're a fetching kid, but I couldn't fall in love. You won't give me a chance." "What?" The impertinence the right to invade implied astounded him. Short of anarchy, he could not think of any chance that Nicole Warren deserved. "Give me a chance now." The voice fell low, sank into her breast, and stretched the tight bodice over her heart as she came up close. He felt the young lips, her body sighing in relief against the arm growing stronger to hold her. There were now no more plans that if Dick had arbitrarily made some indissoluble mixture with atoms joined and inseparable, you could throw it all out, but never again could they fit back into an atomic scale. As he held her and tasted her, and as she curved in further and further toward him, with her own lips new to herself, drowned and engulfed and loved, yet solaced and triumphant, he was thankful to have an existence at all, if only as a reflection in her wet eyes. "My God," he gasped, "you're fun to kiss." That was talk, but Nicole had a better hold on him now. As she held it, she turned coquette and walked away. Leaving him as suspended as in the funicular of the afternoon, she felt, "There, that'll show him. How conceited. How he could do that how he could do with me. Oh, wasn't it wonderful? I've got him. He's mine. Now in the sequence came flight, but it was all so sweet and new that she dawdled, wanting to draw all of it in. She shivered suddenly. 2,000 feet below, she saw the necklace and bracelets of lights that were Montreux and Vevey. Beyond them, a dim pendant of Lucerne. From down there, somewhere ascended a faint sound of dance music. Nicole was up in her head now, cool as cool, trying to collate the sentimentalities of her childhood. As deliberate as a man getting drunk after a battle. But she was still afraid of Dick, who stood near her, leaning characteristically against the iron fence that rimmed the horseshoe, and that prompted her to say, I can remember how I stood waiting for you in the garden, holding all myself in my arms like a basket of flowers. It was that to me anyhow. I thought I was sweet, waiting to hand that basket to you. He breathed over her shoulder and turned her insistently about. She kissed him several times, her face getting big every time she came close, her hands holding him by the shoulders. It's raining hard. Suddenly there was a booming from the wine slopes across the lake. Cannons were shooting at hail-bearing clouds in order to break them. The lights of the promenade went on again. Then the storm came swiftly, first falling from the heavens, then doubly falling in torrents from the mountains, and washing loud down the roads and stone ditches. With it came a dark, brightening sky and savage filaments of lightning and world-splitting thunder, while ragged, destroying clouds flowed along past the hotel. Mountains and lake disappeared, the hotel crouched amid tumult, chaos, and darkness. By the time Dick and Nicole had reached the vestibule, where baby Warren and the three Murmuras were anxiously awaiting them, it was exciting coming out of the wet fog, with the doors banging to stand and laugh and quiver with emotion, wind in their ears and reins in their clothes. Now in the ballroom, the orchestra was playing a Strauss waltz, high and confusing. For Dr. Diver to marry a mental patient? How did it happen? Where did it begin? Won't you come back after you've changed? Baby Warren asked after close scrutiny. I haven't got any change, except some shorts. As he trudged up to the hotel in a borrowed raincoat, he kept laughing derisively in his throat. Big chance. Oh yes, my God. They decided to buy a doctor? Well, they better stick to whoever they've got in Chicago. Revolted by his harshness, he made amends to Nicole, remembering that nothing had ever felt so young as her lips, remembering rain like tears shed for him that laid upon her softly shining porcelain cheeks. The silence of the storm ceasing woke him about 3 o'clock, and he went out to the window. Her beauty climbed the rolling slope. It came into the room, rustling ghost-like through the curtains. He climbed 2,000 meters to Rochers de Nez the following morning, amused by the fact that his conductor of the day before was using his day off to climb also. Then Dick descended all the way to Montreux for a swim, got back to his hotel in time for dinner. 2 notes awaited him. The first, I'm not ashamed about last night. It was the nicest thing that ever happened to me, and even if I ever saw you again, mon capitaine, I would be glad it happened. This was disarming enough. The heavy shade of Dolmer retreated as Dick opened the second envelope. Dear Dr. Diver, I phoned but you were out. I wonder if I may ask you a great big favor. Unforeseen circumstances call me back to Paris, and I find I can make better time by way of Lucerne. Can you let Nicole ride as far as Zurich with you, since you are going back Monday, and drop her at the sanitarium? Is this too much to ask? Sincerely, Beth Evan Warren. Dick was furious. Miss Warren had known he had a bicycle with him, yet she had so phrased her note that it was impossible to refuse. Throw us together, sweet propinquity, and the Warren money. He was wrong. Baby Warren had no such intentions. She had looked Dick over with worldly eyes. She had measured him with the warped rule of an angel and found him wanting, in spite of the fact she found him toothsome. But for her, he was too intellectual, and she pigeonholed him with a shabby, snobby crowd she had once known in London. He put himself out too much to be really of the correct stuff. She could not see how he could be made into her idea of an aristocrat. In addition to that, he was stubborn. She had seen him leave her conversation and get down behind his eyes in that odd way that people did half a dozen times. She had not liked Nicole's free and easy manner as a child, and now she was sensibly habituated to thinking of her as a gone coon. And anyhow, Dr. Diver was not the sort of medical man she could envisage in the family. She only wanted to use him innocently as a convenience. But her request had the effect that Dick assumed she desired. A ride in a train can be a terrible, heavy-hearted, or comic thing. It could be a trial flight. It could be a prefiguration of another journey, just as given day with a friend can be long, from the taste of hurry in the morning up to the realization of both being hungry and taking food together. Then quickly comes the afternoon with the journey fading and dying, but quickening again at the end. Dick was sad to see Nicole's marriage joy, yet it was a relief for her, going back to the only home she knew. They made no love that day, but when he left her outside the sad door on the Zurich Sea and she turned and looked at him, he knew her problem was one they had together for good now. Chapter 10. In Zurich in September, Dr. Diver had tea with baby Warren. "I think it's ill-advised," she said. "I'm not sure I truly understand your motives." "Don't let's be unpleasant. After all, I'm Nicole's sister." "That doesn't give you the right to be unpleasant." It irritated Dick that he knew so much that he could not tell her. "Nicole's rich, but that doesn't make me an adventurer." "That's just it," complained Baby stubbornly. "Nicole's rich." "Just how much money has she got?" he asked. She started, and with a silent laugh, he continued. "You see how silly this is? I'd rather talk to some man in your family." "Everything's been left to me," she persisted. "It isn't we think you're an adventurer. We don't know who you are." "I'm a doctor of medicine," he said. "My father is a clergyman, now retired. We lived in Buffalo, and my past is open to investigation. I went to New Haven. Afterwards, I was a Rhodes Scholar. My great-grandfather was governor of North Carolina, and I'm a direct descendant of Mad Anthony Wayne." "Who is Mad Anthony Wayne?" Baby asked suspiciously. "Mad Anthony Wayne? I think there's enough madness in this affair." He shook his head hopelessly just as Nicole came out on the hotel terrace and looked around for them. "He was too mad to leave as much money as Marshall Field," he said. "That's all very well." Baby was right, and she knew it. Face to face, her father would have it on almost any clergyman. They were an American Dussel family without a title. The very name, written in a hotel register, signed to an introduction, used in difficult situation, caused a psychological metamorphosis in people, and every time this change had crystallized her own sense of position. She knew these facts from the English, who had known them for over 200 years. But she did not know that twice Dick had come close to fleeing the marriage in her face. All that saved it this time was Nicole finding her table and glowing away, white and fresh and new in the September afternoon. "How do you do, lawyer? We're going to Como tomorrow for a week and then back to Zurich. That's why I wanted you and sister to settle this, because it doesn't matter to us how much I'm allowed. We're going to live very quietly in Zurich for 2 years, and Dick has enough to take care of us." "No, baby, I'm more practical than you think. It's only for clothes and things I'll need it." "Why, that's more than... Can the estate really afford to give me all that? I know I'll never manage to spend it. Do you have that much?" "Why do you have more? Is it because I'm supposed to be incompetent? All right, let me share pile up then." "No, Dick refuses to have anything whatever to do with it. I'll have to feel bloated for us both. Baby, you have no more idea of what Dick is like than... Now where do I sign? Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't it funny and lonely being together, Dick? No place to go except close. Shall we just love and love? Ah, but I love the most, and I can tell when you're away from me, even a little. I think it's wonderful to be just like everybody else, to reach out and find you all warm beside me in the bed. If you will kindly call my husband at the hospital. Yes, the little book is selling everywhere. They want it published in 6 languages. I was to do the French translation, but I'm tired these days. I'm afraid of falling. I'm so heavy and clumsy, like a broken roly-poly, and can't stand up straight. The cold stethoscope against my heart and my strongest feeling, j'ai une fiche d'étude. Oh, that poor woman in the hospital with the blue baby. Much better dead. Isn't it fine there are 3 of us now? That seems unreasonable, Dick. We have every reason for taking the bigger apartment. Why should we penalize ourselves just because there's more Warren money than Diver money? Oh, thank you, Camry, but we changed our minds. This English clergyman tells us that your wine here in Orvieto is excellent. He doesn't travel. That must be why we have never heard of it, because we love wine. The lakes are sunk into brown clay, and the slopes have all the creases of a belly. The photographer gave us the picture of me, my hair limp over the rail on the boat to Capri. Goodbye, Blue Groat, said the boatman. Come again soon. And afterward, tracing down the hot sinister shin of the Italian butte, with the wind slewing through the eerie castles, the dead watching up upon those hills. The ship is nice, with our heels hitting the deck together. This is the blowy corner, and each time we turn it, I slant forward against the wind and pull my coat together without losing step with Dick. We are chanting nonsense. Oh, 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 other flamingos than me. Oh, 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 other flamingos than me. Life is fun with Dick. The people in deck chairs look at us, and a woman is trying to hear what we are singing. Dick is tired of singing it, so go on alone, Dick. You will walk differently alone, dear, through a thicker atmosphere, forcing your way through the shadows of chairs, through the dripping smoke of the funnels. You will feel your own reflection sliding along the eyes of those who look at you. You are no longer insulated, but I suppose you must touch life in order to spring from it. Sitting on the stanchion of this lifeboat, I look seaward and let my hair blow and shine. I am motionless against the sky, and the boat is made to carry my form onward into the blue obscurity of the future. I am Pallas Athene, carved reverently on the front of the galley. The waters are lapping in the public toilets, and the agate green foliage of spray changes and complains about the stern. We traveled a lot that year, from Woolloomooloo Bay to Briska. At the end of the Sahara, we ran into a plague of locusts, and the chauffeur explained kindly that they were bumblebees. The sky was low at night, full of the presence of a strange and watchful God. Oh, the poor little naked old nail that the night was noisy with drums from Senegal and flutes and whining camels, and the natives pattering about in shoes made of old automobile tires. But I was gone again by that time. Trains and beaches, they were all one. That was why he took me traveling. But after my second child, my little girl Topsy, was born, everything got dark again. If I could get word to my husband, who has seen fit to desert me here, to leave me in the hands of incompetence. My principal interest in life is archaeology. I'm tired of knowing nothing and being reminded of it all the time. When I get well, I want to be a fine person like you, Dick. I would study medicine, except it's too late. We must spend my money and have a house. I'm tired of apartments and waiting for you. You're bored with Zurich, and you can't find time to writing here. And you say that it's a confession of weakness for scientists not to write. And I'll look over the whole field of knowledge and pick out something and really know about it, so I'll have to hang on to it if I go to pieces again. You'll help me, Dick, so I won't feel so guilty. We'll live near a warm beach where we can be brown and young together. This is going to be Dick's workhouse. Oh, the idea came to both of us at the same moment. We had passed Charms a dozen times, and we rode up here and found the houses empty except 2 stables. When we bought, we acted through a Frenchman, but the Navy sent spies up here in no time when they found out that Americans had bought part of a hill village. They looked for cannons all through the building material, and finally Baby had to twitch wires for us at the Affaires Entraîneurs in Paris. No one comes to the Riviera in summer, so we expect to have a few guests and to work. There are some French people here. Miss Dinguet last week surprised to find the hotel open, and Picasso and the man who wrote Pas sur la boue. Dick, why did you register Mr. and Mrs. Diver instead of Dr. and Mrs. Diver? I just wondered. It just floated through my mind. You've taught me that work is everything.
and I believe you. You used to say a man knows things, and when he stops knowing things, he's like anybody else. And the thing is to get power before he stops knowing things. If you want to turn things topsy-turvy, all right, but must your Nicole follow you walking on her hands, darling? Tommy says I'm silent. Since I was well, the first time I talked to Dick a lot late at night, both of us sitting up in bed and lighting cigarettes and diving down afterward out of the blue dawn and into the pillows to keep the light from our eyes. Sometimes I sing and play with the animals, and I have a few friends too, Mary for instance. When Mary and I talk, neither of us listen to the other. Talk is men. When I talk, I say to myself that I am probably Dick. Already I have even been my son, remembering how wise and slow he is. Sometimes I am Dr. Dolmer, and one time I may even be an aspect of you, Tommy Barbin. Tommy is in love with me, I think, but gently, reassuringly. Enough, though, so that he and Dick have begun to disapprove of each other. All in all, everything has never gone better. I am among friends who like me. I am here on this tranquil beach with my husband and 2 children. Everything is all right. If I can finish translating this damn recipe for chicken a la Maryland into French, my toes feel warm in the sand. Yes, I'll look. More new people. Oh, that girl, yes. Who did you say she looks like? No, I haven't. But we don't get much chance to see the new American pictures over here. Rosemary who? Well, we're getting very fashionable for July. Seems very peculiar to me. Yes, she's lovely, but there can be too many people. Alright, so the end of that chapter kind of led right back up to when they met Rosemary for the first time. And it's kind of interesting that the rest of that chapter was also kind of narrated by Nicole, who you could tell by the way it's written, like how her mind is. And then also we learned that Dick referred to her as schizophrenic, so now we know what her mental illness she struggles with is. But it's kind of sad because she's so like pure of heart and like she loves her husband. She's obsessed with her husband in a good way, and then Dick goes and cheats on her. So alright, so see you next time. Bye.